Okay, we're stuck.
We're going.
Hello.
Here's the thumbnail.
Oh,
You never sent us the topics list.
yeah, I did. You just didn't download it, you idiot. It's in Discord. You have to scroll up. Anyways, hi.
How's everybody who's watching this doing?
We're might hurt your.
Type in comments below, hit the bell notification,
Ew,
subscribe.
stop.
Giveaway.
You want to enter my free gift card giveaway?
God.
Okay.
Make sure to write no negative comments. It hurts our feelings.
You need to make sure that the metadata is good.
Write
so
us
that my
a
channel
good
doesn't
review
get
on
disabled.
iTunes.
Hey, can we not talk over each other? Because that sounds absolutely
Alright, we're talking
awful.
about PewDiePie and how he said a bad word on live stream.
He said the N-word.
No!
It was very.
How could you have forsaken us, PewDiePie?
It was very bad. It did not. Go well with very many people.
Alright, so
He did nothing.
here's my outlook on it, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So I think that it would have been a lot worse if he would have like actually said it to the person. Like I don't think it was that bad. He just said it out of frustration.
Yeah.
I think would have made it bad if he would have been like the whole Keemstar and Alex situation, where if he would have turned his mic on and actually like said it to the person to like intentionally like yell at them. But he was just like frustrated because he kept like shooting the kid's feet and he didn't die. And like I don't know.
Well, yeah. It
Honestly,
wasn't. It wasn't meant as a actual racial slur. It was just like.
Yeah, he
said
said he
angry.
wanted to pull out the worst word he could
Yeah.
possibly.
But.
Yeah.
And that part isn't necessarily bad. The bad part is that it has effects on the entire website. Because the adpocalypse was because of his Fiverr thing, where he paid $5 to get some poor.
The adpocalypse was because someone uploaded like a Johnny Rebel song to YouTube, and there was like a KFC ad over it. Yeah, and someone on Twitter screenshotted it and sent it.
That's
to
not
KFC.
why. That's not why.
No, it is. Like if you actually look at the root of the problem, the advertisers didn't withdraw because of the PewDiePie thing.
Yeah, they did.
People had been doing that
start paying more
forever.
attention after that.
Yeah, I think it was a
Yeah.
contributing factor, but the main reason was that he had a video of some African like made out of sticks,
I know,
man.
I've seen it.
No, the guy.
The original first advertisers to dropped out because of all of like the racist songs that were getting ads played. And then it just so happened that he was doing that Fiverr thing at the same time.
I guess.
Okay, hold on. Back to the N-word thing. I feel like YouTube's trying to really put this one under the rug as opposed to make it a big story, because I haven't heard or seen anyone freaking out because they're losing money or anything.
If you want a good
Samra?
example of that, if you check out the Parasitical video, the first one, he went over PewDiePie saying that on stream. He tried to upload the video 3 separate times, and it kept getting demonetized or like limited ads. But then he uploaded like James Corbin saying that same word, and it was fully monetized, so it didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just trying to put it under the rug, have no one look at it, and they're just trying to make it disappear.
Because to most people, the N-word is a pretty repulsive word, and YouTube doesn't want anyone being repulsed by their, platform, because it's their platform.
I don't see how anyone can just get offended by a singular word though. Like it's literally just one word. It's a vibration coming from your throat.
It's the vibration has meaning.
Yeah,
Well, that's
I mean,
so long ago though. It doesn't even. It's not even relevant anymore.
People
I mean,
think it
that's
is.
true, but at the same time, like, there's words only mean things because we attach some meaning to them. So if you're just saying it as a joke, it's a completely different meaning if you're aiming it at someone. So I mean, it's kind of yes and no. I mean, it's still a bad word because of the history behind it, but at the same time, it's.
I think people are
you
way
say
too
it with
dense.
your friends. It's, I don't know. It's a little bit different.
I think people aren't mad because he said an offensive word. People are mad because what he said is going to have effects on everybody else's income. Who uses that platform for income.
Potentially. I mean, I don't think it's going to be like that this time around. That's just my prediction.
I don't think it'll be so severe, but I think it will have a noticeable impact.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of bad things going on with the ads on YouTube, and so a lot of drama going down with all that stuff. But at the same time, if you're just because I mean, I get he's the biggest YouTuber on the platform and everything, but when you say something like that just because you're playing a game, you're in the heat of the moment, I don't think he should be getting so much flack for it.
No, I mean,
Yeah, especially since his apology was so sincere.
yeah,
He just straight said he didn't have any excuse for it. It just happened and slipped out of his mouth.
yeah. Well, also, he he has the most eyes on him on the entire website, so he has to watch even more what he says than anybody else. So that's also why people are angry, just because they think he's careless, and I don't really know.
I don't know.
I don't think I've decided.
I feel like the whole self-censorship thing is doing more hurt than it is good, because if you keep people unexposed to these ideas that people deem offensive, it's only going to hurt them more when they
Yeah.
come around in the real world. I think if you teach people that words give the meaning that only have the meaning you give them, then there will be a lot more successful and stable
Yeah.
people out there.
Yeah, that's true. Just because we as a group are so politically incorrect and just throw a bunch of racist stuff around all the time, it doesn't really have a meaning anymore because it's just funny at this point.
And another thing, the self-censorship thing where PewDiePie has to keep watching himself with what he says, I feel like that's a lot of responsibility for a 20-something-year-old guy to have on the internet. I mean, yeah, he's gained a lot of popularity, and he's a funny guy, but at the same time, he's just a kid, essentially. He's not even a fully grown adult yet. So I
Is he
mean,
like 27, 26?
yeah, I think
He's
so.
like he's still he's an adult at this point.
I would consider that being an adult.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the you're. What I'm trying to say is, if you're in your 20s, it's a little bit different than if you're like 35 or something. When you're out and you've had plenty of experience in the real world. I mean, that's still kind of like around college age, stuff like that. But
Right, yeah. I feel like he should get leeway for that, but I wouldn't say he's a kid, but I wouldn't say he's had enough life experience to really be held 100% accountable like that, like he's being. Like they're saying that what he did was completely meditated and all that.
kind of like it's trying to compare a 20-something-year-old kid to Shay Carl, this like 30-year-old guy, where he got caught for messing around with cam girls.
Wait,
shit
what?
Like that.
That happened?
Yeah.
Oh,
He was
Jesus.
cheating on his wife. and
Oh, that's
stuff,
messed
and-
up.
Yeah,
Wait,
that's
who's
why
Shay
that's why
Carl?
Maker Studios just shut down because he got outed.
Wait, is
Shay
Shay
Carl
Carl?
was one of the original like vloggers on YouTube.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he made the vlog,
Yeah.
like
much
all the
invented it.
Shaytards and stuff.
I thought that was like
Shaytards.
That's what they're called.
Does Minecraft's real name or something.
You guys-
Sky does Minecraft.
No,
Because
I haven't
that-
heard that
he like his girlfriend's a cam girl now.
Is that true?
Oh my god.
I don't know any of these things.
No, she's not a cam girl. She acts like it.
Hey, can you turn your...
No, she's
Fan off?
actually done cams.
No, you're
Really?
thinking of Basher.
Oh, yeah, you are.
Oh.
I know about
that.
that one.
Dude, Basher, I remember whenever he was around.
He's an actual cuck boy. Like, he's the worst.
I'm sick of it! All this stuff!
Oh my god, Mike.
It wasn't Power Rangers!
You guys wanna move on to the next subject? You guys wanna just keep...
When
Sure.
you order a
Sure, yeah.
Bionicle
Yeah,
and
that's
it doesn't
fine.
come in the mail.
What are some of your guys' what's a game that's changed your life or was just a good childhood video game? What about that?
Bionicles.
Shut up.
Bionicles.
Super Monkey
I-
Ball.
Oh,
the first
dude.
game the first game I can remember playing was on a Sega Saturn, and it was called Bug! Exclamation point.
I remember that.
And it's-
Yeah, you told us
It's
about
the
that.
shittiest looking game on the planet, but it's so fun. It's so weird.
Yeah,
I got work.
Yeah, you showed us Bug a while ago. I remember that. I also Kai, did you say Super Monkey what? Super Monkey
Super
Ball?
Monkey Ball.
I played that. I guess not when I was actually like. I guess I wasn't a kid. I guess I was like 8 or 9. Not like that
Still a
young.
kid.
Yeah, just not that young. And I had one of them on the DS, and it was a lot of fun. Anyways,
Wacky.
What about you, Kai?
I already said Super Monkey Ball.
yeah, but
Oh yeah, I haven't been
The
listening.
first game to get me into like actually like playing games a ton was COD 4 on the DS.
ew.
Oh,
Its
dude, I
release
had
date.
that.
I think
I
I have
got it
that.
on its release date, and it looked horrendous. I can't even remember I can't remember what the game looked like because most of the time I was just like looking at pixels.
Yeah,
Like, it was-
it's pretty bad.
But I remember there was this one mission where, and I'll never forget this mission because I played it like 10 times. Basically, you were running through this like Somalian desert, and you got to like this little desert like brick building, and you had to run around this wall killing enemies, and you go up this staircase, and towards the end of the level you go around to the right, and there's this room where you can shoot RPGs out the window at cars. And I remembered that there was an AI in there that was really broken, where if you turned the corner fast enough, he would just like intimately look at you in your eyes
Ew.
and just never kill you. And I used to do it with my friend all the time, and we thought it was the most hilarious thing. And then we used to play on the bus on our DS, and people on the bus would use like the DS Connect to join us, even though we didn't want them to join us. And then we'd like knife them for the whole time. It was really fun.
That sounds really fun, actually. I've never had anything like that.
What about you,
guys remember
Donnie?
PS Vita?
Well, my question is like, how old were you guys when you guys got all those games and stuff?
I was like 4.
God, my childhood game was probably when I was 4 or 5 or 6 or something like that on an Xbox original, and I used to play stuff like Burnout and Oddworld, Munch's Odyssey. I told you guys about that before, but it was just like it's such a weird game, and it's like it's really memorable just because it's so strange and weird, and that's why it's so ingrained in my memory, just because of the nostalgia and also the strangeness of it. It's really weird.
Growing up, I didn't have video games. First time I really got a hold of a video game was when I was 12, and
Oh my God.
that was Halo Reach.
Oh,
I played
Jesus.
out in my friend's basement all the time with him, and next year I got my 360 when I was 13. I mean, I had a Game Boy growing up, but I didn't have any like real good games. I think the closest thing to a good game that I had was probably Yoshi's Island. That one was real good, but it was difficult
Oh, I
at
remember.
some points for me. Like the boss battles were pretty tough.
I remember Yoshi's Island. That was good.
Yeah, that one is a good game. But yeah, my childhood was playing outside with my friends and Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Dude,
Oh, yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh is hard. Like, it's a ton of math. I guess it's not hard, but it's just like tedious.
Yeah,
It was so
I-
boring to me.
I haven't kept up with all the rules because they've changed it a lot. So there's two fan bases. There's the guys who still play it today, and they're up to date with all of the cards and the new rules and everything. And there's all the guys that are like, oh yeah, I know the old rules because I had it growing up, and I'm part of the second group. So, like the pretty much it's just if your card was over 4 stars, you had to have a sacrifice for it,
What the
and if it
fuck?
was over 8 stars, you had to have 2 sacrifices. I think.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You shall be banished to the graveyard.
Yeah, I know the graveyard's like where you put your cards when they died. I know that. I have like a vague memory of how you played the game. But
Dude, one card that
I'm trying to think, I
so
don't even think-
vividly remember that I had. It was like the most overpowered thing ever.
Blue Eyes
Was,
White Dragon.
No, it's this trap card called self-destruct button.
Oh, I think I
And
know. That's like a really OP one, right?
yeah, like if it gets activated, like it's really specific of how it works, but if it gets activated, both players' HP drops to 0, and I think that you automatically win, pretty much.
That's
Dude, the
ridiculous.
coolest thing about Yu-Gi-Oh to me was when I was a kid, people had the little arm bracers,
Yes.
and like,
No,
Hell
I never
yeah,
had one
dude.
of those.
and people would put the cards in the arm bracers, and they'd fly around like Naruto, dude. It's like,
Dude,
I
I
don't-
always
I don't
wanted
even-
one of those.
I don't think
I
I
never
even
got it.
tried to get into Yu-Gi-Oh as like a little Melvin because I don't think I could process it in my brain, you know.
yeah.
I remember vividly for years. Me and my friend from school, our sisters were the same age and we were the same age. So my sisters would take ballet lessons. Our moms would drag us there. So we'd bring our cases of Yu-Gi-Oh cards and we'd duel in the in the middle of the rec center where they're having their fucking things. It's like pitch black, like half the lights are turned off. We're next to a rock climbing wall, and we're just sitting there like autists on the floor playing.
I can imagine-
Yu-Gi-Oh.
I can imagine you guys like reeing at each other when shit went wrong, and you're just interrupting
Oh, no,
everybody.
dude. There was no one there other than the parents and the girls in the class. It was just us two boys. And then the the best part was we'd go home from school. He'd call me on the house phone, and we'd be on the phone for an hour playing Yu-Gi-Oh over the phone.
Oh hell yeah!
Yo, that is like the most cheatable way to play that game I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Dude,
we
whenever
both cheated so bad, but we were honest to the point where we'd only like fake play cards that we knew that we had.
Oh, okay.
whenever I was little, I used to cheat so hard at Pokemon, and I didn't understand how the game worked at all. Right? I just thought the cards were cool. So my cousins used to get mad at me, so mad at me all the time because we would be playing and I would be losing, and I would pull like a Magikarp out of my deck, and I'd be like, "This guy, he's very good. Play him. Your whole guy, all your team dies, and I win for free." and like I would cheat so badly, and I would make them so mad to the point where no one would ever play with me, because whenever I would be losing, I would pull out like a Drowly, and I would be like, this one is very good because your team die in fire whenever I play him, so I win instantly now.
So
It's kind of weird how all your cards just delete my entire team. There's a lot of cards that do that.
That's because they are shiny.
The only experience I have with a card game like that, it's going back to Yu-Gi-Oh. It was 4th grade. I bought a deck of cards off of one of my friends for $4. I never did anything with it, and then high school freshman year comes around, and I flipped that shit for $16 off my other friend, and so I made like a $12 profit.
$12 profit. What an absolute legend.
Never used the deck once.
So when I was in elementary school, it was like around 4th grade is when everyone started getting into Yu-Gi-Oh. Just automatically out of nowhere, everyone switched over to Pokemon, and I never understood the craze. I wasn't a fan of Pokemon like everyone else was, and so, but I knew the basics. I just didn't like the game like I did Yu-Gi-Oh. But that same friend who I'd play in the rec center with, he was sitting there, and it was about 6th grade, I think. And this kid that's in 3rd grade is in the playground with us because it's a small private school. Everyone has recess at the same time. So Luke, that's his name, he walks up to the kid, and the kid has that ancient Mew card, like the one that looks like static and everything. It's really cool.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know, just if you look it up, ancient Mew, you'll be able to see it. But my friend Luke, he goes up to this kid and he's like, "Hey, that card is shit." I'll give you a fire energy for that. Which is I was sitting there, I'm like, we walk away after the trade was done, and he's like, we're looking back and they get like, get scammed, idiot.
I will give you one
Back to,
fire
um,
energy.
Back to video games though. Another game that I liked in my childhood was my dad had this emulator, and he would put Nintendo games on it.
Dude,
Like,
I
I
had the
played-
same thing.
Yeah, I played Mario's 1, 2, and 3 like all the fucking time from the ages of like 6 to 9, and then I got a real Nintendo Entertainment System, and I played Super Mario 3.
I was too young to...
That wasn't on the.
I'm like the youngest one here. I'm like 15, everybody else
Yes,
is
it
like
was.
18 and 19. So,
Super Mario World 3?
Super Mario 3 was on the NES.
was it?
You sure?
Yeah.
Was it not on the BameBube?
No, I think it was on the. I think it was on the SNES.
The SNES.
No, it was on the NES. I'm telling you.
Alright, well,
Here's the cartridge. I'll post it.
no one's gonna see that except for us.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
thinking about. I was thinking about Super Mario World,
Yeah, I know what it looks like,
like
idiot.
with a Boshi.
Anyways, since I'm the youngest one here, I never had any sort of old console. I guess the oldest that I had, I like the oldest console that I actually played on was an Xbox original, and then we got a PS3, and but I was more grown up at that point. I could actually like figure out how to play a video game. I didn't just play it, you know. Because when you're a kid, you just do whatever. So, what was I talking about? Oh, my dad had like something. I don't know if it was the exact same emulator, but it was like the same thing. And I played like a metric ton of Street Fighter 2 because the art style in that game is just so good, and it's, in my opinion, one of the best fighting games ever made. Just because
Yeah.
it pioneered so many others.
That's why I'm really happy that Nintendo went ahead and they released Street Fighter 2 Ultra for the Switch, and added like new characters and
Oh,
skins
yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
but it's still the same game, just HD.
I want to get a Switch, but it's so expensive, and there's no games
Yeah.
for it.
I mean, they're about to release a bunch of games. I know that Doom is about to come to the Switch.
Doom.
Like,
They're gonna wait. What's Doom rate? Is it M or T?
That's M.
So they're gonna put. I thought.
Nah, dude, it's T. It's a bunch of ketchup.
You turn the paint mode on.
Too much Five Guys for lunch.
I don't know. I thought because there's no. Is there any big boy language in Doom?
No, but it's like all gore, dude.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess actually now thinking back on it is pretty graphic.
I mean,
Yeah,
Of
shit
cour- of
explodes.
of course they're going to have to like dumb down the graphics, or they're going to have to drop the frame rate. Bleh. Drop the frame rate.
Well, we're talking
But
about the new Doom, right? The Bethesda Doom.
Yeah, because this is going on the Switch, which is
Oh.
pretty much a hardcore tablet.
Yeah.
But I hope that they just reduce the graphics so the way the frame rate stays at 60, because the biggest thing about Doom is the fluid gameplay. Like, even if you go back to the old ones, it's still just fluid run and gun shooting.
I feel like they made the Nintendo Switch controllers garbage on purpose, so you'd buy the thing where you put the both controllers into to make it an actual like controller that feels like an Xbox controller.
No, that comes with it.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
No, you have to buy it separately. When I looked for it on the interwebs, you had to buy it separately.
You have to buy the Pro controller, but the thing that makes the two joystick, the Joy-Cons, I think they're called, into a
Yeah.
controller that comes with it.
Yeah. No, the
Yeah, the things you slide it into.
Yeah, that comes with it. The Pro controller is
Yeah.
a separate thing.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The Pro controller is a separate thing.
Yeah, of course the Pro controller is going to be. Like,
And I think
really
they
expensive.
designed the Joy-Cons bad on purpose so you'd buy the Pro controller.
I don't know. A lot of people have been saying it's a little bit weird at first, but once you get used to it, it's really good.
Oh, well, I've never touched one, so I don't even know what I'm talking
Neither
about.
have I. I can't really say, but I've heard good things about it.
I want to play.
Consoles are a scam.
I want to play Breath of the Wild really badly because that game looks super duper good.
Just emulate it on the PC. It'll be a better experience anyway.
I don't want to get the ALML virus made in Cuba or whatever. It's gross. I don't want that on my computer.
But back to like childhood games and stuff. What were games that kind of like changed the way you viewed about like the games in general, like
Fallout 2.
Fallout 2?
Fallout 2 was
Fallout
pretty.
New Vegas.
Those games were pretty revolutionary for their time.
This is gonna sound stupid, but like another one for me is DayZ, even though it's a mess now. Like when it first came out, I never knew games could be open world and also multiplayer. Like that was a new concept for me, and that was actually the reason I got a Steam account was to play DayZ. And it's kind of sad it's in shambles now, but it was really fun for first year.
The
or so.
mod is still healthy. I think I have Arma 2 and I could get the mod if I wanted to. We can play that later.
Yeah.
Does anybody still play it? I don't know.
Yeah, there's still a dedicated community to it.
Oh, okay, that sounds cool.
Well, I don't have Arma 2, so we're
Well,
just playing normal basic.
It's like $5.
Normal DayZ's awful, dude. I hate it.
Yeah, the standalone.
Yeah, it's really lacking. I mean, they had that list of what they're going to do for development, but they never followed through with it.
Yeah.
Like it's
They're
supposed to
already 2
finish the
years
game
late.
by now. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're supposed to finish the game by now, but now they're just like redoing trees.
Poor Adam working on those
Oh,
trees.
I lied. Arma 2 is actually $2.60.
Wait, is it actually just
Is it
$2?
on sale?
Yeah, it's on sale, 80% off.
Oh
$2.
my god, it's
Holy
$2.
shit. I've got $1 on Steam, so it's like $1.30.
Sell.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, sell like a skin or something.
Oh well, you need combined operations to play DayZ, and that pack is $5. It comes with 2 games.
Oh
Oh, I don't know if I have that.
You probably do.
Let me look real quick. Hold on. Listen to these clacky keys. Hi, that sounds really good. I'm sure everybody wanted to hear that. Alright, so we're back now. Donnie's computer froze. So we had to pause for a second, but
I'm also here now.
yeah, also Jet's here. And
He just shit himself.
we're gonna put the current topic on pause and talk about. Jet's gonna talk about his boot camp experience because he just graduated a little bit ago from Navy boot camp.
Yep,
Oh.
I've been out.
prior.
I've been out for a week now, and you know, I'm a full sailor for about a week, and I shit myself. So that's what you get for being a.
Did you actually?
Yeah, I did. I want to die.
Wait, right now or when?
Okay, so it was I think closer to like 11 because I was like, oh, you know, I'm gonna go run up to Subway and I'm gonna go get myself a sandwich and then I'm gonna run back and we're gonna do this podcast, right? So I'm like, oh, gotta go in for a pit stop. So I'm wearing my tracksuit. I'm wearing my really nice tracksuit that they gave to us in boot camp, but they told us we can't wear in boot camp. So I was like, okay, second I get out of here, I'm wearing this shit every day. So sure enough, I do. It's this nice like navy blue tracksuit. It says Navy in gold letters on the side of the pants and on the jacket. And I go up to the urinal and I'm like, yeah, this is fine. And I find out, hey, I gotta let loose a little toot. And
Ew, no! Oh no, dude.
it feels like I put on a second pair of underwear and I stand there for a second. And I stand there for a second. I'm like, oh no. And I'm standing there and I'm having this reaction, and I realize I'm still pissing.
Oh.
So I can't like do anything. I'm just standing there.
That's the most helpless state of human being that you can achieve.
I got stuff flying into the urinal, and I got stuff running down my leg. I'm like, oh no.
Oh, dude,
Oh,
that
no.
tracksuit must have amplified it by like 12. Like the
Well, in the tracksuit, it's like made out of a polyester, right? It's not cotton.
Oh yeah.
So I'm standing there, and it's just running, and I'm like,
Oh
oh no. I'm like, hurry up, finish, come on, hurry up. So I get done at the urinal, right? And I waddle my way into the stall, and I waddle my way into the closest stall. That has no toilet paper. I'm like, nope. I waddle myself into the one next to it. It has barely any toilet paper. I plop my bum down, and I'm like, oh no, this is bad. So I'm like surveying the damage. It's like
The
all of it
damage.
went to the left side. So I'm sitting in there, and I'm like, okay, I gotta get to work. So I start like taking my little rolls of toilet paper, trying to clean up whatever I can, and it's like everything I do just makes it worse. I'm looking around. It went down the entire inner left, like the right side of the left pant leg. It went all the way
Oh,
down
that's
the pant leg.
disgusting.
It got on my sock,
Oh,
and I'm like, this is bad. So I'm like, okay, I gotta triage this shit. So I like take the shoe off, take the sock off. I like put my bare foot into the shoe, and then
Now
I just
you
try
know
to
it's
like,
getting real.
yeah, I try to survey what's just happened. And I'm like, okay, this is good. The entire right pant leg's good. I checked my my skivvies, as we call them in the Navy, but they
Right.
weren't actually skivvies. They were straight up boxers.
My
skivvies. Skivvies are like tighty whities, which is what I had to switch into now because that was my last clean pair of boxers. But yeah, no, I'm looking in these boxers and I'm like, good lord. I'm like, is this what it feels like to be Indian? Like, it was, you know that time? Okay, there were, for people who don't know, there was this one time my dog walked into my room and he walked like into this area where I couldn't see him because like from my computer over to my bedpost, I just couldn't see him. He was in like a blind spot, and like I hear him make this really weird farting noise. I'm like, what the hell was that?
Oh,
And I
oh.
go over, and it looks like he dumped an entire like jar of like raspberry jam on the floor, and I'm like, oh my god! It was like that, but it was me. And it was horrible. So,
What?
I'm looking, right, and I'm just like, this is by far the worst thing I have ever had to do. Like, throughout doing all of what I'm about to explain, I was like, this is literally the worst it's ever been. This is the worst. It's
How
ever
do
been.
you clean that up? Like, do you
Well,
have, like, a
let me explain,
laundromat?
right? So here's what I did. So I'm like, okay, shit, okay, I gotta figure this out. I have my left foot into my shoe that's bare. I have my sock, like the dirty sock. I tried to clean myself up with it. It just made the sock worse. So I'm like, okay, this sock is causing more problems than it's not. So I'm like holding this, right? I roll up my pants into a bundle so I can like hold it with my hand properly.
Okay.
And so I get off the toilet. I clean up the toilet seat because let's be honest, I like stamped that shit. And
Seal of approval.
this is bad. So I cleaned that up, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I ran out of toilet paper by the way.
Oh, no.
That's why I had to use the sock. But
Oh.
so I look. Here's what I had to do. I undo the stall door. I look left at the open window. I look right at the door that's closed, and I bolt into the shower. Because there's showers that are connected to the head. We call it a head in the Navy. But yeah, I bolt into the showers over there because it's like you walk in and then you turn a corner and then suddenly there are showers with curtains. So like I just ran into the closest shower and closed the curtain. So I'm standing there, right? I'm like, okay, now what? So I gently took off both of my shoes and started standing on top of them. And I'm like, okay, triage this shit. Let's see what's savable and what's not. So I immediately take the underwear. I take one last look at him. I'm like, okay, you're going in the corner. You're never coming back.
Just throw it
Put the
away,
socks
dude.
with them. I'm like, no, this is the dead item. These are the dead items. Someone take dead out of this base.
Non-salvageable.
Did you just put him in a corner of the shower somewhere and leave him there?
No, I'll get to them. Hey, I forgot to add, when I was bolting to the shower, I grabbed the entire package of paper towels that was sitting on top of the paper towel dispenser. Or, it's funny, in the Navy, we don't call them paper towels, because you know how, like, they're brown paper towels? We just straight up call them brownies. Yeah, I grabbed the entire thing of brownies, and I ran into the shower, and I'm standing there. I'm trying to figure myself out. My track jacket in my PT, you know, my physical training shirt, like this yellow shirt that just says Navy on it. Yeah, those were fine. Absolutely nothing happened to them. So I took them off. I put them in like the this is safe area, and so then I continue to survey around, and I'm like, okay. Underwear, trashed. Socks, trashed. I look at the tracksuit. I'm like, oh boy. There were like 2 spots on the posterior, right? And I'm like, this could be worse. And then I'm like, oh no, it is worse. I flip inside out the right pant leg. It's completely fine. I know it's in the left pant leg. I don't want to stick my hand into that. So like, I went through the bottom and I grabbed the bottom of the pant leg and I just pushed it up through so I wouldn't have to touch anything. And like, it was like a bad story unraveling in front of me. Because like, I would see a little bit and then I'd keep going and like, it was like if your cat was to go out and kill a bunch of birds, you know how it would leave like a trail? Like, yeah, I was just going up that trail. I was like, oh no.
You should have just taken it and put it in a washing machine.
Well, I can't. There's shit in it.
Yeah, the washing machine. Also, how are
here's the
you?
thing, though.
Are you,
Here's the thing,
are
though.
you
I
on
was
Discord on your
in-
phone right now, Jet?
Yes.
Okay.
But why does it sound like shit?
Not
Yeah.
really. It's not too bad.
No, it's not.
Anyway,
I had to
So,
turn
like-
your volume up.
yeah, my microphone position's a little weird. But yeah, no. So I'm like, and here's the problem. When this happened, and I was sitting on the toilet, I was sitting there for like a good 5 minutes, just thinking about what to do, because I didn't have my phone on me, and my roommate wasn't here either. So I knew I was gonna have to go back to my room somehow, but I didn't know how. So back to the shower. I'm standing there, right, and I got it all figured out. Like, I'm just like, okay, I cannot clean this up with the paper towels I currently have with me. That's not gonna work. So I took the underwear, folded them up, put the socks with them, and I put them in like 3 layers of paper towels to make like this giant ball of paper towels that like contained everything, right? And so I put that down. I put that next to the track suit. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to put the track pants back on. I do not want to put the track pants back on, but I have to get back to my room somehow because it's down the hall. So I'm standing there, right? And I just kind of maneuver the track pants back on, as awful as that was. And then suddenly, we have this guy in this barracks called the deck PO, and his job, deck petty officer. He's an E3. He's a seaman, but actually no, he's a seaman apprentice. He's the same rank as me. But his job is he has to make sure that this entire barracks is looking like ship shape and clean. You know, like the deck. He has to take care of the deck, the floor. He just has to make sure it looks clean. But he's giving these newbies a tour of the barracks. And as I'm standing there in the shower, I hear the door open, and he's just giving a full-size tour. Dude, I don't know how many people walked in. But they're walking around. And they walk over to the urinals, and they're like, he was telling them about how one of the urinals is broken, and like it won't flush properly, but people keep using it. And he was like, this is the 4th time I've had to tell people to not use this urinal. There is no reason I should have to tell people 4 times to not use this urinal. And I'm pretty sure the first time it was broken, I pissed in it real bad and like almost overflowed it. And it was like that for a week. But I never told them about that.
I wonder the scent that those poor newbies got hit with whenever they opened that door.
Hold on, you keep telling the story. You keep telling the story, and every time I think, how can this get any worse? And it just does. It really gets worse.
Because watch
Dude,
this.
we have like 4 more topics, and we're already like 40 minutes in.
That's
Dude,
fine.
check this out, right? So I'm standing there, and I'm just like, oh god, I hope they don't come into the shower. So he turns the corner, and he comes into the shower. He's giving a tour of the showers to these newbies, and he's like, these are the showers, you know, they work, they you know how they work, and like, one of them was like, these like the ones that are always cold, and they're just talking about the showers and whatnot, and he turns the corner, and he's like, and goes silent, I think someone's in here, or was in here, and like, I opened up the curtain just a little bit to peek out my face, like, he hadn't turned the corner entirely, so I was just like, hey, how are you? And he's like, hey man, hey dude, what's up? And I'm like, nothing much. And he's like, oh, I'm just giving a tour to these newbies. You want to come with? And I was like, no, I've already had a tour. I'll be fine. He's like, okay, then see you later.
He didn't even know what's going on.
Oh my!
He leaves. And I'm like, okay, this is awful. I want to die. I put the track pants back on. I didn't want to, but I had to. I put the track pants back on. I grab everything. I take the wad of paper towels that now contains the forever stained whites. I literally turned the corner, and I just slam dunked that shit into the trash can. Like, it wasn't mine anymore.
2K18.
I like took other toilet paper and I just stacked it on top of there so no one would ever see it. It's at the bottom of the abyss for all I care. But yeah, no, I get my stuff together. I run down the hallway, get back to my room. I open up the door, I walk in. I see you guys left me like 80 messages and Dalton called me, and I'm like, BRB guys cleaning up my shit. Like, I run into my closet. I grab my my sweats. So they gave us they call them the RDCs like to call them scrubs in boot camp, but like it's just like a sweater and some sweatpants. So I grab those. I grab my towel. I grab a washcloth. I grab my body wash and shampoo, my shower shoes, and a new pair of whites and everything. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be in there for a while. So I run on back and I get everything set up, and I'm like, okay, here we go. I take the track pants with me into the shower, and I start showering. I take care of all that, and I use this washcloth because I usually use a loofah, but I knew this washcloth was not going to be clean when I was done with it, so I got ready to throw it into the washing machine with the track pants. But I'm just taking care of my business, and then I flip the track pants inside out, and I give them the best cleaning that I can, to be honest, just to get rid of all the matter. But then I proceed to just sit in the shower for I don't know how long it was. I just felt guilt. I felt bad.
What have I done?
Well,
Because like
you did a lot of.
my life is in shambles like my tracksuit.
Because if I think Dalton remember, I think some of you should remember, I've had an experience like this in the past, back in high school. But the difference was that I had to stay like that for 2 hours, but it didn't run down my pants or anything. This became worse than that the second it happened.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
Dude, this is like the
beginning-
exact plot of My Two Lovely Uncles, except Jet's tracksuit got destroyed by a drone strike.
Slain from above.
yeah, I was in Syria the whole time.
well, I gotta say, there was a lot of tactical maneuvering you did that was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
So I've played a lot of
You
movies.
passed a speech check with that fucking petty officer.
Oh no, he's not a real petty officer. They just call
I
him
know.
a PO. Actually, earlier today I did see a petty officer. EM. He's just actually edit that part out.
Sheckelstein.
Edit that part out. That didn't happen. His name was just EM1.
Just put like a
and,
screech over him saying that.
Yeah.
Oh, I just dropped something in the crevice
Like the
between my
weather
desk and my
alert siren over it.
Just like.
Technical difficulty, sorry.
Cut all this out. But anyway, I was walking down the hallway, and I saw EM1.
Tanner, shut up with your fidget spinner.
And let's say EM1.
Go
EM1,
on.
that stands for Electrician's Mate First Class. He's a petty officer, but his job is an electrician's mate, so they call him Electrician's Mate First Class. That's just how they do shit in the Navy. So he's what they called the ACDO for that day, is the Assistant Command Duty Officer, which means, one, he's not an officer, and two, he's the assistant to the command duty officer, who is also not an officer. They're literally just around to tell us what to do.
Oh, okay.
So, I'm walking down the hallway one day, or this morning, because I was told to go into what we call the day room, like this little central lounge, and we were told to go clean it. So I'm walking down to go to the day room, but I wanted to go to the head first, so I start walking towards the head, and EM1 turns the corner, and he looks at me. I'm wearing my camouflage pants, just the blue undershirt, and a pair of tennis shoes. Like, I could not be more out of uniform than I already was. And he looks at me, and he's like, "You are kidding me, right?" I'm like, "Yes, petty officer." And he's like, "You're going to turn around and go back to your room, and you're going to go fix that." But
You got
I can
wrecked
only
twice
imagine
today.
how bad it would have been if I had shit myself before doing that, and he saw me and told me to go fix myself. I would have had to tell him, "I'm sorry, EM1, but listen, I gotta use the head really bad." And I would have not have wanted to be in that situation at all.
Oh man, that
I'm just thinking back to it right now. What if this happened in boot camp?
Oh shit.
Like,
Hey man,
'Cause in
life
boot
is made
camp-
by the silver linings.
because I was thinking back to boot camp, and I actually have a story that's very similar to this one. We're not allowed to use the urinals at boot camp. I guess this is now actually talking about boot camp. We're not allowed to use the urinals at boot camp because they're too much of a hassle to clean, and it's just to help ourselves really. But what was it? We always had. Excuse me. We always had to use the
I
stalls.
came out of
and
nowhere.
we had to sit down no matter what we were doing, like to piss or anything. So if this happened in boot camp, I probably would have been just fine. But I just remembered the day. So we all came to boot camp in different groups, and one of the groups that got there before me had this amazing story to tell for the rest of boot camp. So they got off the bus and they lined up like they usually did. Everyone's yelling at them and all that shit, and they had to go. What happened? They went to this thing they call Ditty Bag Issue, which is where they issue you your C bag, which is this big ass duffel bag, and they give you all the standard equipment like hygiene, exercise gear, a whole bunch of bullshit like that. Like the Ditty room is where you stop being a civilian. That's where you literally have to strip naked all of your civilian clothes and put on the Navy issue clothes.
Oh,
Like that's where boot camp starts. And so apparently these guys were just getting out of that, and they were going to stand in a hallway or something like that. And so this senior chief is an E8 in the Navy. A senior chief comes walking by them, and they're just sitting there. They're scared because boot camp just started. And the senior chief walks by them, and he goes, "Which one of y'all nasty motherfuckers just took a shit in my hallway?"
Whoa!
Whoa, dude! What the hell? Some kid was walking through the fucking the P-way. That's what I should have called it. We call them passageways, even in buildings where they're technically hallways. He was walking through the P-way in his jeans, and he shit himself in his jeans and had left a trail.
Ew.
And
Is this
soon as
something-
the senior chief asked,
This is what happens to the Navy.
It's just a Navy thing.
No. As soon as the senior chief asked, "Which one of y'all nasty motherfuckers just took a shit on my floor?" that guy walked past, leaving a trail of shit behind him, rolling out of his jeans. And the senior chief turned and looked at him, and he was like, "What the fuck are you doing? Yes, in my head." And that kid was gone.
Did he actually get kicked out of the Navy?
No, it was his first day.
Oh, Jesus.
How do these
It was just-
accidents occur so frequently in a prestigious
Just
military?
seeming things.
Well, I mean, that incident was like 9 weeks ago. I just shit myself today.
It might be the food they give you. They're trying to condition you for the ocean.
He just
and your
got there.
bowels
He hadn't
don't like
eaten
that.
any of their food yet.
They're trying to condition you for eating MREs every day.
Oh no.
No, we don't eat MREs in the Navy. They actually serve us fake food. But I don't know what it was I ate yesterday that caused this. But I mean, I've had to go to the shitter like 5 times.
You probably
in the last
drank
2 days.
someone's
whatever I was eating
prune
yesterday-
juice tablet.
I haven't
Probably
shit in
eating
2
it. Do
days.
Not agree with
Jesus Christ.
Speaking of shitting, because we keep coming back to this topic, the first 5 days. Okay, let me talk about when I got to boot camp. So now we're actually on track.
Now
When I
we're
got-
over an hour.
So here's what happened. The day I was leaving, I went to the hotel that they put us in. Spent the night there. Then we went to the Military Processing Center, or MEPS, or whatever the hell that stands for. I got all my classifications done. They make sure I'm fit and ready to go, and they're like, "Okay, good to go." They swear me in a second time, and then they put me on a bus to the airport, get situated. I'm with my group. All of us are going to the Navy, because the MEP center's for everyone. It's not just for the Navy. So I'm with my group of soon-to-be recruits over at RTC, and we're all just standing there waiting. And our flight was originally supposed to leave at about 5 p.m. and then we were supposed to get up in Illinois at about 8. Well, you see, as soon as we got there, we found out our flight was delayed, so that it wouldn't even leave until 8 o'clock, and we wouldn't even arrive until 11. So immediately we were like, okay, we already had to spend about 3 hours in this airport. Now you're telling us we have to spend something like 8? And they were pretty much like, yeah, basically. So we're sitting around with our thumbs up our asses for about 8 hours. They moved the flight all the way back to like 9:30. So it was fucking rough. Like it was inclement weather up in O'Hare and all this bullshit, right? So then I'm like, okay, whatever. Get on the plane, sleep on the plane, land in O'Hare. And we're like, okay, this is fine. It's raining like hell, but this is fine. We go into the airport. We go over to what's called the USO, and that's like the United Services Organization. They're pretty cool on a good day, but this wasn't a good day. We were going to boot camp. Like, why would it be a good day?
Yeah.
But all we did was walk in there. We were the last group to show up on July 11th, like the last group to show up. But we checked in. They were like, okay, cool. We're just gonna hold you here until another duty driver comes, and then they're like, okay, you all are gonna go downstairs and you're gonna go talk to a petty officer. You are going to turn off your phone now, because if he sees it, he's going to smash it. I'm like, okay.
Oh no.
So,
Jesus.
turn my phone off, get all my shit together. We go downstairs, we get to this petty officer, right? And he's like, all of you, get into a line. Don't speak. Don't turn around. Don't do anything. Don't breathe. Don't live. And like, he's just like, we were supposed to sit there. We walk over, we sit down, and we basically just sat there for about maybe 2 hours waiting. Like, another group came over, and then they're like, okay, you are going to get on this bus. You are not going to use your phone. You are not going to fall asleep. You are going to watch the video we have on this bus for you the entire way. We're like, all right. So we get on the bus, and we get onto the highway, and immediately, it looks like a monsoon is currently going through Chicago at the moment. There's rain fucking everywhere. There's no visibility. It's loud as shit. And so we're going, and they play us this video of the commanding officer over at boot camp just telling us about, like, what the mission of the Navy is, what the mission of boot camp is, a lot of stuff, basically just kind of front loading. And I'm like, it was the weirdest thing. Like, you know how in a video game, right, you get into an area and like a cinematic cutscene opens and it'll like zoom in on something? Like, that's what it felt like. This didn't feel like real life. It felt surreal. I'm like, oh, I really got myself into some deep water now, didn't I? So we're chugging along, we're watching this video, and suddenly I hear this loud ass crash, and everyone start to gasp. It was raining so bad that night. There's some dude on the highway next to us veered off into the center, median, and completely turned his car around, ripping the bumper clean off.
Oh, Jesus.
And like,
no.
that dude was having a bad day. And we were like driving past him and everything, and like everyone turns to look, and the petty officer on board is just like, look forward, watch the video. And we're all like, snap to, because it was a crazy night. We keep going. We eventually make it all the way to Great Lakes, and then we make it to boot camp. Basically, we go through the gate, we drive all the way up. We get to the entrance, right? And now, if you look up this video called like Faces of Navy Boot Camp, it shows like recruits going through the whole gauntlet, even like from the very beginning all the way till the end, and you see them walk off the bus. I did not walk off that bus. I was screamed at and told, y'all gonna get your ass off my bus. And we ran because it was pouring rain outside, and we had these medical folders they gave us from the military processing center. We had to turn those in. So we ran as fast as we could into the building, dropping off our shit and getting into a line in the main hallway. And so we're standing there, and we're like, oh shit. Oh shit. Everyone's screaming, everyone's yelling. There's water everywhere. Like, the entire building started to flood when
Oh my
we got
God.
there. Like, I turned right, and he told us, all of y'all, look over here. And there were these pair of doors, right? And you know what a door looks like in this kind of building. It's got like, it's a metal frame and it's got some glass windows in it.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently some motherfucker was running down that hallway, slipped, and went straight through one of those windows.
Oh, my
And we were
God.
like, that's what happens when one of y'all ain't careful. And so we're getting yelled at and everything, right? Well, they give us the quick rundown. They're like, welcome to RTC, all this and that. Who here plays a musical instrument? No one rose their hand. Who here came here with the buddy system? No one rose their hand. They're like, okay, we are now going to allow you to have your 2-minute phone call. You have approximately 2 minutes. You will call one person. When you are done, you will fucking turn off your phone and all that. Well, here's the problem. I never got to turn my phone back on after leaving the airport. So I'm standing there with my phone, and everyone is immediate, like, snap to. Like, as soon as he told us go, someone was already talking to their mom. So I'm standing there, right? My phone's off. I start turning my phone on. It takes an entire minute to turn on my phone. And I'm
Oh my
standing
God.
there like, oh shit, come on. And he's like, 1 minute, it has elapsed, you have 1 minute remaining. I'm like, oh fuck. And so eventually the phone finally turns on. And I'm like flooded with just an ungodly like deluge of just messages and shit. And I'm like, okay, fuck this. I call my mom. I'm like, hey mom, I only have a minute. I'm here. Everything's fine. I'm safe. And she's like, okay. I'm like, bye. I love you. And that was all the time I really had to say. I told them that they were gonna have a box of all my stuff show up and all that, right? I hang up. I see a message from Tanner coming. I only see the preview of it, but I never got to read it. I had to quickly call my parents and then turn my phone back off. So this is just something I'll put out there. Tanner, that message you sent me, I couldn't read it for an entire 8 weeks until after I read it. And, you know, I thought, you know, I'm going to read it back because I had some high expectations for what you sent me. And I did not get what I received.
Oh, he's not here right now.
What was it?
went
Oh, shit, he's not here?
No, he.
But no, I just thought it was funny, though, because all I saw was, hey, boss, I just hope you know that I'm really going to fucking miss you. And that's all I saw in the preview. And I'm like, oh, man, I feel bad now. I never got to read it. And then I come back, I get my phone back finally. I'm like, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to read Tanner's message. And the rest of it says, I'm really going to fucking miss you, retard. Come home soon, please.
Retard.
Double take. I was like, you know, sure, that's fine.
Wow.
You like
That-
worried about
that's
that for
fine.
8 weeks.
That was the first thing I saw when I came back from 8 weeks ago. Retard. I'm like, okay. No, but
No,
I did feel really bad. I did feel really bad though that I couldn't read that for 8 weeks, and there was a lot of other stuff I couldn't read for like the next 8 weeks. But
Should we,
I do appreciate the message. you
Wait,
sent me,
are
Tanner.
we
I was
like
just-
out of time now?
Yeah, should we call this one a day, or should we go a little bit, tiny bit longer?
Well, we're over.
I mean,
an
I don't-
it's
hour
only
now,
been
I
an
think.
hour.
I think we can easily have a 2-hour podcast.
2 hours
Well,
is
I
a
don't-
while
I don't
though.
have-
Please give us feedback because you know, first this is like the first time any of us has actually recorded anything and put it out seriously. So we don't know what we're doing.
Not true.
Oh, shut up. Well, okay, we're. I guess that's it.
Okay, mine.
Uh,